We're now going to get into some conversions, or sometimes it's called dimensional analysis, using area and volume. So just to refresh, area is like if you want to carpet your bedroom, right? Area. So we're talking like length times width for a rectangle. But you'll notice that is 2 units. So area is in square units, feet squared, inches squared, meters squared. Okay, so square units, because there's 2 of them. Feet squared is like feet times feet, just for reference. Now volume is like you have a swimming pool. How much water does it take to fill up the room? You have a bottle of water. How much water fills up that bottle? So volume is like length times width times height. Notice there are 3 of them. So you'd have like feet times feet times feet to get feet cubed, yards cubed, miles cubed, right? Anything cubed. So now we have cubed units in terms of volume. Okay, the key is there's 3 for cubes, there are 2 for squared. We're going to need that. Okay, let's do some math. Suppose you buy a rectangular tote that is 24 inches by 16 inches by a foot. What is the volume in cubic inches? Okay, so first of all, our formula is length times width times height. But inches, feet, no go. We got to have all 3 in the same, in this case, cubic inches. So hopefully you know that 1 foot is the same as 12 inches. So now I can do 24 times 16 times 12, and that will lead me to 4,608 cubic inches. Now the second part of this problem says change that to cubic feet. Okay, well if we start with 4,608 cubic inches, now I know that 12 inches is 1 foot, but we have this inches cubed. That's the same as saying inches times inches times inches. There are 3 of them. So I need to kind of think about this as having it 3 times. Now you can't think of this as 12 cubed and just cube it, but sometimes it's easier for people to kind of count it up. So then I think about 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch gone, because you need 3 inches down here to combat this 3, the inches cubed up here. And because all of these are in the denominator, you divide 4608 divided by 12, divided by 12, divided by 12, and you end up with 2.67 cubic feet. Okay. In number 1, you see an ad for an apartment to rent in Madrid that will sleep 5 adults. It's 90 square meters, and you think, wow, that seems really small. But how big is that in square feet? Because in the U.S. we talk about housing space in square feet. So if we start 90 meters squared, well, when I look at my conversion, I know that I can change meters to yards to jump across the pond. So I know that 0.9144 meters is 1 yard. But I have meters squared, right? I need 2 of those. So 0.9144 meters is 1 yard. So I could say 1 meter, 2 meter gone, because the 2 cancels out there. Now I have square yards, but I want square feet. I know that 1 yard is 3 feet. That makes this yard cancel out with one of them, but notice I have another yard. So I do 3 feet again for 1 yard, and now this second yard cancels out my second yard. And now my unit would be 1, 2, now I have square feet because there are 2 of them. So to do the math for this, I take 90 divided by 0.9144, divide by 0.9144, times 3 times 3, and when I do that, I get 968.75 square feet. So that's not huge, but you could sleep 5 adults in that, right? That's about the size of my apartment. I could put air mattresses and sleep 5 people very easily here. Okay. Number 2, you're putting new carpet in the family room. The room measures 16 feet by 24 feet, but the carpet comes in square yards, not square feet. How many square yards do you need to purchase? Well, 16 by 24 gives me 384 square feet. All right, so that's how many square feet of carpet I need. So if I start with 384 square feet, I know that there are 3 feet in 1 yard, And I'm going to do that twice because 1 foot, 2 foot gone, because that's a 2, so I needed 2 of them. So 384 divided by 3 gives me 42.67 square yards. Okay. The bed of a truck is 12 feet by 5 feet by 3 feet. What's the volume in cubic feet? Well, again, volume is length times width times height. So 12 times 5 times 3 gives me 180 cubic feet. All right, well, what's that volume in cubic inches? Well, if I have cubic feet, again thinking 1 foot is 12 inches, and because it's cubic, I'm going to do it 3 times. So I can say 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot gone. On the top, I do all multiplication, and I have 311,040 cubic inches. All right, number 4. How would we convert 3 cubic yards to cubic inches? Well, if you have cubic yards, you're first going to go yards to feet, and you're going to do it 3 times, right? Because it's all about the cubic. So 1 yard, 2 yard, 3 yard gone. But you want inches, so 1 foot is 12 inches, and again we're going to do that 3 times because 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot. So really you just have to do the double conversion to go first to feet, then to inches. And we would end up, if we did the math and multiplied across, 139,968 cubic inches there. All right, let's do some circulars, some cylinders here. A soup can. Think about a Campbell's soup can or something else, but we have a cylindrical soup can, measures 8.8 centimeters in diameter. Now a diameter is across the center of the circle, so there's 8.8 centimeters, and it's 7.2 centimeters tall. Now the volume of a cylinder is pi times the radius squared times the height. Now for pi we will use 3.14 for my videos. The radius is half the diameter. So if the diameter is 8.8, the radius is half of that, which is 4.4. So for this particular problem, we would say the volume is 3.14 times 4.4 squared times the height of 7.2. When I multiply that, and remember, this squared, 4.4 squared is the same as 4.4 times 4.4. So depending on your calculator, you might want to plug that in a different way. But when I do that, I end up with a volume of 437.69 centimeters cubed. Okay. And let's do one more on this page here. A vintage coffee tin. So again, we've got a cylindrical shape, is 7 inches tall, and has a radius of 3.5 inches. So remember, the radius is half of a circle. So our volume is going to be pi times the radius squared times the height of 7. And this is helpful because they're all already in inches here. So when I do this, I end up with 269.255 inches cubed. But I don't want inches cubed, I want cubic centimeters. So I'm going to start with my 269.255 cubic inches, and then I think, okay, 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters, but I have 3 of these. So 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, gone. They're all in the numerator. I multiply those all together, and I get 4,412.3 cubic centimeters, and I did round there, but I think that works. And that is some conversion with volume and area.